Imagine a spiritual pathway that addresses your physical health, emotional frequency, mental clarity, and spiritual well-being, all in perfect harmony. This isn't just an ideal. It's the comprehensive nature of the Goddess Emergence show with Dr. Brie Gibbs, a spiritual leader, healer, and trance medium, who alongside of Goddess Bell, the creator, and other masters will share information never before released on the planet to help guide and evolve humanity, and along the way, heal the 4 dimensions of body, emotions, mind, and spirituality. This show is about true spirituality, offering a new earth narrative and effective path to well-being as it accelerates the journey of our spiritual evolution to keep pace in this rapidly changing world. Get ready to emerge the goddess within each of us, both the feminine and the masculine. If you have any questions about yourself that you have no answers to, this is the show for you. Let's emerge together and emerge better. Now here is your host, Dr. Brie Gibbs. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Pat and I am here with Dr. Brie Gibbs, and we're going to get right at it today. Today's show is about embracing the fiery, fierce, loving goddess within. And it is a powerful show. And it's a powerful show that breaks down the illusion we may have on what goddess energy is about. But it invites you to the world of disillusionment. And what that means is when we think about this energy, we often really step into the place where we think about the unlimited potential of it from the past, the present, and the future. Dr. Brie, let's get at it. Let's talk about the rise of the goddess energy in modern times.
Let's do it. I am so excited today. I have to say this. Under the goddess numbers is a 2-day, which is balance. And we're talking the divine feminine and divine masculine at the same time, emerging together in a goddess. It does not always have to be just the divine feminine. So when you move them all and twine them together, we have an excellent show to talk about today. So you ready?
Go for it.
All right. So let's talk about the archetypes. I think that's really important we start that. And I want to start that with actually about Pele. She's a goddess of destruction and repair and re-emerging everything. So when the volcanoes go off and the monsoons are over there, she's actually cleaning everything up. And with the divine feminine and masculine in her, even though she's divine feminine as a goddess, but she's able to bring that energy of the divine masculine into her to balance everything around her and take care of nature, take care of the people on the planet in Hawaii where she's at, and she's incarnated over there. And you know, a lot of goddesses, the original 5 sisters, along with Bella now, have all come in and balanced in divine feminine, masculine, and come together now. So let's go with that one. More about Pele also is about embodying the duality of nature. Can you think about that? And you take that all together of what she is doing right now. There's an archetype I really want to get out there today.
So tell us what this means, though, in terms of when we're looking at the goddess. Let's talk about this because we are talking about the rise of the goddess energy in modern times, right?
Right.
And so, you know, you're exploring the goddess energy. So let's talk about how the goddess energy challenges our traditional notions of things, let's say, whether that be leadership, power, how we become in the world, how we look at ourselves. How does that work?
Well, the one thing is I'm going to use you for an example. A leadership. You have several programs that you do. And I'm not talking just radio shows. All your foundations, everything you do. You've embraced the goddess inside of you. You've taken charge of it. You're not letting us say, oh, I'm just going to be this way or I'm going to have it that way. You have taken your strength and everything you have to turn it into what you want. That is leadership in the modern world of a goddess.
Well, this is what I love about this, because we're talking about the goddess energy and bringing the goddess back, so to speak. The goddess hasn't really gone anywhere. And I think that's important for us to talk about. Mm-hmm. You know, we're here now, but I love that you use me as an example, because I have to be reminded of the signs in my life, the things that I've seen in my life, you know, to indicate that the energy is emerging. What other things have you seen in life to just say to people, these are things that are happening that you can point to show that this goddess energy is emerging?
Let's just say right now, this year, the things that are happening, the voting that's happening, women are coming forward and using that and embracing it. It doesn't matter. What I want to say on that part is that you take that journey and you follow it, and that path you're walking on, and you stay strong. And, if you see something you don't like, fix it. That's what we're here to do. Whether it be inside of you or helping another person, guide them, lead them, show them in modern world times. I can go back to ancient times, but that's not what's needed right now. What's needed right now is what we are doing today. So today, I'm here talking about the strength of the gods and why we are so needed. So I will explain that right now. The Creator sent the goddesses here and incarnate into the bodies to show others how we can do things today, not how it was done thousands of years ago. And so what I want to say right now is that it takes a lot of research, strength to come on here to make sure I do my show properly, to guide people. I'm only a guide as a goddess. That's what I can say on that part. The other thing is others that are in leadership. They could be working at McDonald's as a manager, and they hold their power and their strength, and they combine the divine feminine and masculine inside of them. That's even stronger. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. And let's talk about the balance between the fiery and the fierce. Because, part of what I've heard you say before is one of the things they're here for is to help us with the balancing of things. Now, I want to be very clear about balancing. We're not really talking about balancing as equal parts. There's a level of, look, when you hear a symphony play and you hear any kind of music, but classical is especially known for this. You hear them, there's not a balance, there's a harmony, right? There's not a balance. The viola doesn't play as loud as the violin most of the time. And, they're just, there's harmonies. But let's talk about this because, you're right. We're seeing the fiery and the fierce now, but we're really not seeing the fiery, fierce, and the loving. And, it's interesting you brought this up because I'm watching something happen that I don't think the goddess is happy about.
And what is that?
I'm watching how a goddess emerged. I don't care what your politics are.
Right.
For Kamala Harris to take that baton and attempt to do something that was near impossible to do to begin with.
Right.
She had a role to play. Maybe that role wasn't to become president. Maybe that role was to ignite and spark other goddess-like people to stop and look at their lives and look at what am I going to do for the future of my life instead of being an impartial, out of balance, just sitting on the couch player.
Right.
You see, maybe her role wasn't what we think, right? Because we think we know what everybody in the world's supposed to do. We don't. But can you imagine? There are some goddesses that were never meant to be queens.
Right.
Athena, right? So when we look at goddesses, every goddess has a role. Every one of us has a role in life. So let's talk about the balance between fiery and fierce with love, with the loving. Because you and I are not telling you, we would never do this. I want to be very clear in this show because I don't want any backlash from Pelly when I get home. I have Madame Pelly sitting out in my bedroom. I got a great poster of her. I put her in a particular place. I have a mirror side reflecting her. I have lights that go on. That's her place.
Good for you.
That's her place.
Good for you.
And sometimes it's a dark part of the hall. Why? She's a dark goddess that's full of fire. But even she, as my great Hawaiian friends would say, she understands the balance. She knows how to be reborn. Let's talk about this. Goddess energy is not unidimensional. So what is it? How do we balance the fiery fierce with the loving?
All right. So first of all, a goddess loves very hard, fiercely. That's one thing I want to say. It's a love that no one can take away from us. The nurturing, everything that goes into her. So God's Pele will come across as kind and loving. And then if something is not right, the fiery fist inside of her will come out and take charge and make it right, no matter what happens with it, with the situation. So as you brought up Kamala Harris, right? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
She's fire fierce right there. She had it all in her. But she did her job, what she was supposed to do.
Yep.
I'm not saying I was for her or against her, but as a person, she showed and represented a goddess light.
Yeah.
For modern days. For a woman to step up and say, I want this or I want to do that. And she did it with such grace. That's the one thing I want to say. And that's part of a goddess, having that grace inside of you. Knowing that you can do your job and not have to be fierce. But then all of a sudden, something happens and you go, wait a minute, you flip around and that fierceness and the fire comes out of you to straighten the situation out. That's balance of a goddess.
But, part of this too is all of us have a bit of, and I can point to other people that also, for example, let me just comment on, somebody, what did we talk about? We have sides in this world. We goddesses, they had sides too. Look, if you think about some of the mythology, you got Zeus up there, whatever Zeus is doing. But let's talk about this. This was a time for the feminine perspective to show up, to generate a fire, to get people to move on the needle. I don't think goddesses come out and they don't promise things, but what they catalysts. And sometimes they have to take control of a situation, but they're catalysts. I mean, we are talking about Madame Pele, and I've learned ultimate respect for Madame Pele in so many ways. I've watched what Madame Pele does to a landscape. I've also seen what happens to that landscape over time and how it flourishes and it grows. And, this is now a time to talk about healing and transformation. So let's do that. I wish... This is my wish. I wish we get to the point where people like, whether it's Kamala Harris or, Senator Murkowski from Alaska. I live in the Pacific Northwest, so she's a prominent figure for people like us here, right?
Right.
And no, she's not a Democrat, right? It's Senator Murkowski up there in Alaska. Susan Collins. You have other people, if you look around the room, and you just you just see their goddess energy.
Right.
And then you have some men that represent goddess energy. We see it. We've seen it over and over. This is not a political show. So we want you to just look around. Look at people in the world. Some people wanted to call Walt Disney. Walt Disney had more goddess energy.
That's so true.
Disney had, between Disney and Keanu Reeves, right? I think Keanu Reeves could have been the healing goddess of the world. Think about it. So, but we think about goddesses in different ways. But if we look around us, what are we looking for? What are the attributes? Let's talk about that, Dr. Brie. What does healing look like when approaching this perspective from goddess energy? And I think this is where we're going to be able to stop and say, stop thinking about men and women. Let's just talking about the attributes, the energy, what this looks like.
Right, and that's why I brought up the balance. So the one thing is, I love that you brought up Keanu Reeves. You see his gentleness, his kindness. There's a lot to him. And one thing I saw is him sitting in a park eating a hot dog and talking to strangers. There was no, I'm an actor and get away from me. That is goddess energy and love. That you could see right in him. That was the perfect person you could bring up to me. They step forward. They're kind, but yet he's very fierce in what he does. Also, they don't look at that, and people don't delve into that part. Oh, he's just the Matrix. I love the Matrix. Okay, all the series of that.
Or
So
John
they,
Wick 4. It
yeah,
doesn't matter.
no kidding.
I mean, oh my God.
I
At some point you stop counting. I mean, when I talk like this, I'm going to get a million emails. They're like, oh, you're the transformation. Well, wait a minute. We're the new mainstream, which means we will
right,
talk about just about everything. But when we're talking about doing this, let's talk about this healing power.
right,
Because when we talk about embracing this energy, this is how we overcome things.
right.
This is the grief. This is the loss. This is uncertainty. And these are the things we have to learn now. The other thing, let's just talk about this for a minute. In a lot of indigenous cultures,
Hmm.
women play a particular role, but men do too.
Right.
And there are cultures where men represent the shamanic version of things, and there are women.
Hmm.
But what they both have in common, they share the yin and the yang of goddess energy.
Correct.
They share that.
Hmm.
It is very difficult, Dr. Brie, and you should talk to this about the energy we're talking about has the power to shift the scales, to balance, to heal, right?
Yes. So, I want to talk about the indigenous you just brought up, the shamanic healers. I'm one. And as a shamanic healer, having Native American behind me, there's a power that we hold that's inside of us that will never go away. And when we're working with our clients or talking on the air right now, even, we share that energy. We just let that out no matter what. And there's one past life shamanic healer that was a woman. And she was able to sit with the chiefs and smoke the peace pipe. I was like, what? That was unheard of, back then.
Yeah,
and so when I heard that story and did some research on it, I was just like, oh my gosh, it was happening clear back then. Well, now everything's happened for divine timing right now. And this year it was meant for all the goddesses to come forward, the six sisters now there are. And they're here to help balance, help you embrace everything about you, blend it together, like a melting pot, bring everything together inside of you so you can be strong enough to handle anything. And, you can look at other ones, but I want to talk about today, what's happening with the world and why they are so necessary. Everyone, women, men, it does not matter. Grab that inner strength you have inside of you, combine it together with your divine masculine and female side of you, and bring it together and show yourselves. Don't hide from everything. And a lot of people are afraid to even say what I'm saying right now. It's like, don't shy away from a camera. Don't shy away from who you are or who you may be. The strength is what's the most important thing. Kuan Yin amazes me also. God, they call her Lady Compassion. She's the goddess of compassion, but there's so much behind her, what she will do. But she is a force to reckon with also. She's no nonsense goddess. And I think it's really important that came out right now. For some reason, it's like I had to say that. But when you look at everything of what she has done for her people, it's brought way over here to the, Pacific West Coast, over here to us, to learn and to recognize. Mariah, same thing. It doesn't matter about what I'm saying on names. It's just bringing it all together. So they blend themselves all together. It's the same thing we can do today of our own selves.
So let's talk about what this means when we talk about unleashing the goddess to shape the future. What is the role that the goddess plays in doing that? Especially when we're talking about global things like the global crisis, right? Many people ask the question, who is the goddess that represents Mother Earth? I mean, there's a lot of things that people ask. And anytime anybody asks me that question, especially in the holistic circles that a lot of them we have here in the Pacific Northwest, I said, there's only one answer to that. And they look at me like, really? Like, who is it? And I say, Greta Thunberg. Greta. And they look at me like, yeah, that could be true. And they say, well, how did you come to her? Why? Because it's her goddess energy that is in play, that is addressing a global crisis like climate change.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It is her energy since a little teeny baby Greta somehow. This is her purpose. But let's talk about that. This is one person, one role. What are the roles that each of us have to play, Dr. Brie?
Each of us need to take responsibility for this planet. I will tell you that right now. We all have to. The other thing is that we have to take a look at what we are doing. Are we in a love state, but yet have that fire fierceness inside of us to do this job and this journey, or whatever you want to call it? I know that I have. I know that you have that strength. I know that everyone that works for you and works for me, we all have that strength, and we hold on to it no matter what when the chips are down. And so if there is somebody on this planet that needs help, you help them. And I'm not going to name off a bunch of different people that I know. I just know that the ones that are stepping forward are the ones that are supposed to be doing it. And the ones that aren't not stepping forward because of fear, they need to grab on to their inner strength and their power center and hold on and do the journey and the job. It may not make sense quite what I'm saying, but from my side of how I look at things, it's a simple way of just saying, okay, I'm good enough, I'm worthy, I can do it, and I'm not going to change a thing about me because I know why the Creator sent me here. I know what my job is, and I better get busy.
So what are some of the questions we may ask ourselves so that we can explore the spark that's within each of us? What are some of the questions we ask?
One, am I healthy enough? That would be the first one. That's the physical part. The emotional part, can I do it or not? The mental part, am I sure? The spiritual part says, oh, yes, you are. So, one, yes, you're healthy enough to do it. Everybody is. Two, get rid of the doubt, the fear, and just do the job. The next one, on the mental part, know that you are worthy to do anything you want to do. I see a lot of people that don't think they're worthy enough. So, oh, I can't be like this actor or that radio host or whatever. And they can be, and bring messages to this earth so that people can see on the third dimension that there's so much happening that they can take this and change anything we want to change, whether it be ourselves or you want to help guide somebody else into their own personal strength, no matter who they are. And that's what I have to say on that one.
So, Dr. Brie, as we kind of look forward and we kind of, look at this idea that we started earlier on the show, that embracing the fiery, fierce, living goddess within, we first have to recognize that that's who we are.
Yes.
But from where you sit, what is it that we should really start to think about in order to unleash that goddess and shape the future? What are some of the questions we may ask ourselves?
How do I say this? I'm going to use me for example. That's the only thing I can do. I ask myself, am I ready for this job and this mission that I've been put on? Yes, I am. Do I have the strength? Yes, I do. Am I willing to put myself out here and on a platform? Yes. So what I want to say is ask yourself right now, are you willing to take the chance and take the bull by the horns and say, and open your fire up inside of you and go for it? It's simple as that. It's not a big thing. To open up your fire inside of you, that's opening your love. It's opening everything together at once and be in balance. That's what I want to say. If I hadn't have opened everything up in me, like right now, my hands are just burning hot inside, right? It's like if I hadn't opened up everything and said, I can do this, I can help that person, this one person I want to help, I can help them. No matter who says what, I did my job for the day.
Wow. Dr. Brie, thank you so much for today. Again, tell people how they can find out more about you, how they can connect with you.
Sure. You guys can go to my website at drbriegibbs.com and set appointment, and you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm everywhere. And so get a hold of me. But Dr. Pat, I enjoyed this show today. This was a fun show. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brie. And for those of you out there, this is the conversation we're having. This is called the Goddess Emergence Show. This is about the synthesis in science, spirituality, and humanity. And there's a reason for that. Today it's all about remembering, and really, however you get there. Embrace that fiery, fierce, loving goddess within. Why? Because we need all of those attributes to create change in the world. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Goddess Emergence Show with Dr. Brie Gibbs. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to experience spiritual pathway that addresses your physical health, emotional frequency, mental clarity, and spiritual well-being, all in perfect harmony. This isn't just an ideal. It is the comprehensive nature of the Goddess Emergence Show with Dr. Brie, a spiritual leader, healer, and trance medium who, alongside the Goddess Bell and the Creator, offer messages from the masters never shared or released on the planet. Beyond the show, Dr. Brie offers individual and group sessions at drbriegibbs.com. That's drbriegibbs.com. We hope to see you next time.